lot of guys that are on the offensive line, but today Brandon Bowen was out there running at left tackle. I know he's been playing right tackle. Is that just to get him some versatility, or could he be in the mix there at left tackle?
He's been working it right, and Josh Allaby came down with flu-like symptoms and a fever today, so he didn't practice. So we moved Brandon over and then moved Nick to right. So, Brandon, he's played a lot of different places for us, and so he's been playing at right tackle. He's played guard in the past. He stepped in and played left. It's not easy to do, to jump around. He's pretty versatile, though, and so that's really important to have guys who can jump around like that.
A new father, too. I want to ask you one more thing. What's your biggest concern so far for spring? I know it's early, and what do you feel best about regarding your team so far?
The thing I feel best about is just our energy. And we had a really hard, tough practice on Thursday. Challenged the guys to be tough. Had one of the better inside drills I've seen in a while. Guys were really getting after it. They were paint chips flying off of helmets, and so guys were really getting after it. That part's really good. I think the biggest concern is just, first off, on offense, there's a lot of guys there who don't have a ton of starts. We're replacing a lot of guys there with not a lot of experience. So can those guys step in and operate at a high level? And so, it's only practice 5, so it's hard to tell. Third practice in pads. And then, the defense and what is that going to look like as things go on. But they've played with a lot of energy. They're downhill, and they've done a great job so far. So, but it's still early, so you don't know.
Second row, Art. Hey, Ryan, 2 quick questions. One, looked like a few linebackers weren't out there. Tough, Borland, and Browning. What's going on with them? I saw that Tough was wearing something on his knee. Are they injured or precautionary, or what's going on?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, they, Barron's been dealing with a little bit of a hamstring coming off of the spring break, so he's working his way through that kind of day-to-day right now. Tough just took a shot to the knee, so kind of precautionary on that end too.
Also, I know it was Student Appreciation Day, but it was also kind of like Recruiting Appreciation Day a little bit out there, right? Like during the practice at the beginning before the students came in, a lot of your guys' big visitors this week were, is this a different type of atmosphere for a weekend visiting trip for you guys? And what was that like, just kind of having them, they're almost integrated into the practice a little bit, it seemed like?
Yeah, I think that first off, all of our players are show-offs. That's kind of what they like. So they love having eyes out there. They love having people. So you could see that right from the beginning of practice. They were bouncing on the field, and the stretch was fun, and the music was playing. And so the guys like practicing in that type of environment. And so that was great to see. And then they just played with a lot of energy, and they practiced really hard. It's good to see. One of the things in my visions is that there's just so much energy when guys walk into the facility, when they go on the practice field, when they're in the meeting rooms, and that's the kind of environment we want to create. Today was great because we're attracting some of the best players in America to come visit, and there's a lot of them here. And then that mixed in with Student Appreciation Day. It really is because this and the spring game are really only Saturday practices, because we're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday the next 2 weeks, and that's to give the coaches and the players the weekends that I think they deserve. There's not too many weekends for our coaches and their families. And I think the players deserve to have weekends as well. They work really hard when they get here in the off season with making his program, and they're working really hard at practice. So we wanted to make sure they had a couple weekends to enjoy their friends and family. So that was important. So this Saturday is a big recruiting weekend because of that. A lot of people can get here on the weekends, and we're still having visitors during the week, but obviously weekends always work better for the family. So this was a big home run for us.
Ryan, first of all, just where you see the quarterback situation right now with Justin and Matthew, how do you feel like those 2 guys have been so far through the first 5 practices, and kind of what are you still looking for from them?
Yeah, only 5 practices in. Pretty excited. I think that both of those guys haven't started before, so we're kind of in that mold of finding a new quarterback. And in a short period of time, they're taking their reps serious. Not every play is perfect. It's the 3rd day in pads, so we're still in the install mode. We're installing plays, and sometimes they're running plays for the first and second time ever. Sometimes they're hearing plays for the first time. They're seeing the signals, and so. But I think they've had some poise out there. They move the football. They've been throwing the ball. Our defense is a good defense, and so they're going up against a good defense every day. And it's a good start. Got a long way to go, but very, very encouraged.
Are there any young guys who have really caught your eye so far from these first 5 practice guys that you feel like are really making a move?
Yeah, there's on offense. There's a lot of guys because we've lost so many seniors. We lost 4 guys in the line, 3 guys on the perimeter, Mike Weber. So I think that there's a lot of young guys that have done a good job. I think they all did a good job. Garrett Wilson's flashed on the outside. Obviously, what Chris can do. He's young, but he's obviously shown how talented he is. And then, up front, Nick Petit-Ferrer has really grown into his body. We're excited about him. Wyatt Davis, you'd say, well, he's not a young guy because he played in the last 2 games, but he is. He only played in 2 games. And so he's really done a good job in the offseason. Josh Myers has stepped up. I think he's got a chance to have a really good year this year. But again, 3rd day in pads, so we have a long way to go on offense. Defense, there's quite a few guys on defense that have played a lot of football. We didn't lose a ton of guys over there, so a lot of veteran guys over there. And so Dallas Gant is somebody at the linebacker position who's probably had, 5 to 7 knockdowns in 3 days of pads. Really, really physical play, so we've been really excited about him. And the D-line's very, very deep and loaded, so with a lot of youth there, and so excited about that. The DBs have been playing, strong. They've been excited about, working on some new technique, and they've been driving on the ball, getting their hands on footballs, which isn't good for the offense, but they've been doing that, so creating some excitement. But overall, again, a lot of excitement and energy in practice every day, which is what we want.
One more question. There was a report yesterday that Christian Smith was leaving the team. Is there any update on his status right now?
Yeah, he has. He's been voluntarily left the program, and we're going to support him. We're going to keep him on scholarship through the end of the semester and give him all the resources he needs moving forward, and support him moving forward.
Ryan, you mentioned Garrett Wilson has flashed. In what ways? What makes you say that?
Tremendous ball skills downfield. He's still learning. The first day he's kind of getting knocked off the ball a little bit on the line of scrimmage and trying to figure that out. First day going against real big-time college corners, and then he's working his way through it. So he's flashed. Again, still has a long way to go. He's put 15 pounds on since he's been here, since he reported in January. So, done a good job there. But there's a lot of competition at the wide receiver position right there. So, probably 6, 7, 8 guys in there that all vie for playing time. And so that's an ongoing battle. One thing that he doesn't have a bunch of experience, so he's going to have to get that over the next few practices.
He looks now, from what we've seen, like we've seen him before, be it high school or whatever. He always has these little things that he does. Or we saw the catch on the sideline today. Is he where you expected? Is he ahead of what you expected? Is this what you expected from him this early?
Yeah, I'm not sure I had, really an expectation. I knew how talented he was, and we'll see. I think after spring we'll have a better idea. But obviously encourage what we see. I mean, everything we expected him to be, I guess, in terms of his talent level, yeah, that's there for sure.
Second row, Marcus. How is Robert Landers? I know we saw him the first day, and then he seemed to be banged up. What's his status?
Yeah, he's kind of day to day as well. Just dealing with shoulder, a little bit of back, knee. He's got a few things. Been around and played a lot of football. So we're just being smart with him right now.
Can you maybe just give us a sense of, at the receiver position, which guys you're thinking most about at X, which guys are at Z, and how many of those guys are you comfortable with at both positions?
So KJ is coming back, the most productive guy coming back. He's our H. He's really come back strong. Probably our best route runner, and again most productive guy. He's really good, and the defense that we're seeing is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. So maybe not getting as many targets, but that's more about the defense, and that'll come throughout practice in the first 3 days. But he's an H. At Z, we've been working Austin Max kind of going back and forth, X and Z. And then Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are also been working at Z. And then going back to the X position, Benjamin Victor has been playing X. Austin can play X. Jalen Harris can play X. And so that's been kind of how it's worked. CJ Saunders has been working at H as well. We've been using Jeremy Ruckert as an H in 12 personnel some. Elijah Gardner's been working at the Z. Garen Prater's been working at X. Oh, and then Jalen Gill's also working at H. Yeah.
Even there were a couple times today when Austin and Ben were out with the ones
Yep.
together, where maybe a year ago it seemed like they were both more at X. There may be situations where we could see Austin and Ben on the field together.
Yeah, Austin, he's played so much X. He knows that position really, really well. At any point, he could go back. They're kind of like Terry McLaurin did. He knew Z really well, and then midway through the season, jumped over at X. And so it gives him more value, gives him more versatility like anything else. So we can always put him back at X, but we want to try to get the best receivers on the field at once, and so that gives him, you know, this spring to learn Z, so he has that in his back pocket.
Coach, DeMario McCall seems like a guy who's been working to get in the lineup, and I think it was Tony who said he's going to play a lot of football this year. Does he have a role?
We'd like to get him a role. He hasn't practiced yet. You know, he's been dealing with the calf injury, and so we want to get him out in the field so we can get him a role. He's got a lot of versatility. Like you saw at the end of the season, we used him in a lot of different ways to get matchup problems for defense. So we'd like to get that going, but you just got to get through this calf injury, which I think he's close to getting back. So.
Yeah, Ryan, I walked in a little bit late. You may have already talked about Justin Fields, but what did you just see from him today that flashed to you? I mean, from the standpoint of, is he getting the system, et cetera?
Yeah, he is. He's a pretty quick learner, and again, in 5 practices, he's kind of moving the offense. Got a long way to go, but he's picking up pretty quickly. And we have a lot of offense. You know, we don't run the same play twice very often, and so there's a lot being thrown at the quarterbacks. And I think he and the other quarterbacks are handling it really well, putting it on the field. It's hard to do something for the first time and be really good at it, you know. And so we got to just keep getting multiple reps and reps and reps. And the more reps you get, the better off you are. But you can usually tell early on with the quarterbacks if they can pick things up quickly. Justin's done a good job of that.
And, you know, Brandon Bowen obviously was the left tackle today. Is that a lobby is banged up and Munford's
Yeah,
coming
we just
back?
mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh had fever, you know, flu-like symptoms, so he was out today.
But Gavin Cup's kind of been in there the whole time. What have you seen come on with him light-wise, I guess, more than anything else? I think near the end of the year there was some talk about him finally getting it. Do you see?
Put in a great off season with Mick, and so you know, he's kind of thrust into that role, and he's a guy who's been around for a while and paid his dues. He's a tough guy, and you know, he's kind of a workman-like, you know, attitude every day, and so he's getting better. And the more reps he gets, the better he'll be as well.
Let me ask one last thing. You did this the first 3 games of the year last year, right? All through preseason camp, first 3 games. But do you find yourself watching the entire picture now? I mean, as a head coach, and how has that changed sort of your perspective? If the offense gets a great play, the defense, you know what I mean?
It's really it's funny you ask, because that's really what, as I go out to practice, where do my eyes go? And what it is, it's the energy and the effort. That's really, and then when we get back in here, I'll start watching the film and really try to look at technique, scheme, kind of where we're at that way. But it's really about just watching the energy, watching the guys run sideline to sideline. You know, watching the guys with you know, in terms of like how does the offense operate? Are they getting the plays fast enough? What's the tempo? Are we using you know, the right terminology when we're running on and off the field? Things like that, as opposed to the techniques or the reads by the quarterbacks or anything like that.
In the 3 practices we've seen parts of, Justin Fields has taken all the reps with the ones. What could be read into that? I mean, is there any separation right now?
Yeah, he hasn't been taking all the reps with the ones. Matt's taking reps with the ones, and so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things we're going to try to split up the reps the best we can. And Matt has taken reps with the ones, and he will continue to take reps with the ones. And the guys got to do a good job of taking, you know, taking those opportunities and being successful with them. You know, and they, you know, it's like anything else. When you get into an opportunity, you got to take advantage of those things. And so we'll continue to split the reps up and let those guys compete.
The defense, and again, it's hard mixing and matching a lot. But it looked like you were using certain alignments with one deep safety and 3 linebackers, 3 cornerbacks, 1 being a nickel. I mean, how much of that is just kind of experimenting right now, and what can you say about what the scheme is actually going to be, the alignment's going to be?
Yeah, I'd rather not get into that. I know a couple people had asked me that earlier, and I just was a little vague. I'd rather not to get into all that right now. Maybe as we get into preseason, we can talk more about that. Yeah.
You mentioned Jalen Gill earlier. He made a couple plays today that I saw. What do you see from him, and what kind of role could he have?
He could have a big role. He's very much like KJ. I think he has a lot of the same skills. Once the ball's in his hands, he's really good. He's pretty crafty. He can catch the ball. But again, it's, you know, he's a young player that has inexperience, and you know, there's a maturity that he's working through right now. He has made some good strides, and so we got to keep building on that. But he's a young guy. There's a really good room there if he can kind of grab onto the culture that you know, Paris, Johnny, and Terry left behind, and that KJ and Austin and Ben are really trying to take over for, then I think he's going to be a really good player.
One more in the front row for Doug.
mentioned like Nick Petit Frere, for instance. Some of these second-year guys, that 18 recruiting class was you had some really highly ranked guys in there. If you have a lot of options at a lot of different positions, but if some of those guys pop, if some of those guys start to show in the spring that they're ready to help this team in the fall, how much of a difference is that going to make? Whether it's Petit Frere or Taraji Mitchell or Jalen or Kayvon Pope, bunch of guys.
Yeah, the thing I said to them the other day, they're not freshmen anymore. You're not freshmen. Time to go. They have to play. If we're going to be good, those guys all have to step up and either become starters or be in the two deep. If they're not, then there's something not right, you know. And so, not everybody develops at the same pace, but you need to start feeling that class. The 2018 class needs to be felt, you know, this spring and into the preseason. I agree with you. That if we're going to make a push at this thing, that class has to really step up.
And when Taraja, I obviously had some guys out at middle linebacker. He took a lot of reps at Mike today. Like when he gets in that spot, does he look like he could handle it?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're excited about Taraja.
Last couple, just one more from Art.
Hey Ryan, I know I asked you about recruiting already, but one quick other one. Now that you're the head coach, I know you've always been very deeply involved in some of Ohio State's best players and gets in the last few years, but how is it different on a day like today for you when you're on track of or on top of everything that the team's doing, but you also have to make sure you get time with every one of those, 4 or 5 star kids? I mean, is it different? Is recruiting different now for you?
It is because you get your hands on everybody, and the head coach has to recruit everyone. So there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of it is the relationships that are built before they get on campus, so that when we do see them, it's not, hey, I'm Ryan Day, how are you, where are you from, that kind of thing. A lot of the relationships have been built on the front end, so we can kind of get down to business and kind of answer the questions that they have about the school and the different things that we have to offer. But we have a great staff here, and everybody's involved in recruiting. We had a function the other night, and I looked around, and just about everybody in the room was working. I mean, they were working, and because it takes a village to recruit people these days. Not 1 or 2 guys can recruit anybody. It takes the whole village, and that's everybody involved with it. So, you have to, on a day like today, you got to be very organized. You got to have a really good group of personnel guys that can, funnel through the people. And, we can handle it. And it's fun to be around. There's a lot of people here, but at the same time, you got to make sure you manage it the right way.
And last two, sort of follow that.
One of the things that J.K. Dobbins has said is he wanted to be worked as if he was a freshman again. What have you seen out of him in his first couple of practices?
Yeah, a little bit more of we call it a white belt mentality, which is, in the martial arts, you have that white belt mentality, which is I'm starting over again. And when you have that mentality, like you're going to kind of start from scratch again, then you can really clean up a lot of things. A lot of guys in this position don't have that mentality. So it's a credit to him. And a great example the other day, we're running a play where he's one-on-one with the corner. He kind of jumps up in the air. And when he does that, the game kind of stops. And so we talked to him about keeping your feet in the ground and making that cut without jumping. We really replicated the same play for him in practice, and he made that change of direction, stuck his foot in the ground without getting in the air, and then broke it for a big play. So he's listening, he's working, he wants to get better, and he has that mentality. So hats off to him.
And when you've seen him run with he said he's going to be the guy this year, and running that offense with Justin Fields, it may be more of that, dual threat kind of quarterback thing again. Is that kind of what you're expecting, bringing back that? You've always had the read option, but just what is that going to be like in terms of carries? You may not know this yet. But.
Yeah, hard to tell so early right now. I said it a year ago when we went from JT to Dwayne that it's the same offense. It's just what we call more, what we emphasize more. So it's really the same plays that we were running last year we had in 2 years ago. They just didn't work the same way. And so you find the things that fit your personnel and you go from there. So, but now's a great time to experiment with some of those things to find out how they do work, how they do fit, and what gives us the best chance to move the ball.
And last one, we'll go to Andy.
The linebackers talked Thursday about how they feel the defense has been simplified a little bit, allows them to play faster. Is that something you felt through these first 5 practices?
Yeah. I do. I feel like they're playing fast. Again, being the head coach and seeing it now from my vantage point, I do think that they're playing fast. Get on the film and see, but we're only 3 days in pads, and so it's hard to tell. But I do think the guys have energy. They're playing hard. Again, that inside drill we had was really good, and so hopefully we can build on that. take a look at the film today and kind of see where we're at.
Thank you, Ryan.